Close your eyes a minute. Now, think of coffee beans roasted.
Coffee, Java, cafe, whatever it is, it's something most people cannot seem to get enough of. Maybe it's the way it percolates. On the contrary, it could be the fact that it perks up our brain cells during long work shifts. Or it could be that warm bean flavor that enhances
terrific coffee.
Or kills our taste buds worldwide.
How can such a pretty wife make such bad coffee?
According to eimports.com, over 50% of Americans over the age of 18 drink coffee every day. That's the equivalent of slightly more than 150 million daily drinkers and 3.1 cups of coffee. But what if someone told you that coffee would solve all of your life's problems?
They did. They did it, they did.
In the educational film, Psychological Differences Between the Sexes, a couple introduces a few problems in their marriage, one of which has to do with a not-so-great cup of coffee. Or at least that's what we think.
Jim, dear, I noticed a new kind of electric shaver downtown. It's supposed to be twice as fast as using a razor. You could zip right over your beard before breakfast. Thought I might get you one.
Oh, I wouldn't be interested, Jane. I want a close shave. I don't care how long it takes.
But Jim, honey, if it saved enough time so that you could shave before breakfast, wouldn't that...
Coffee tastes bitter this morning. Besides, I've barely got time to shave.
Oh, man.
Well, does getting along with members of your own sex help you understand the opposite sex? Did experience with other fellows give Jim a hint that when a woman is just chattering, she may be trying to tell him something? Trying to say, I wish you'd shave before breakfast? Did getting along with other girls help Jane understand that when Jim pushed away the coffee, all he meant was, I don't like the coffee, not, I don't like you?
The message behind the scene is that our thoughts and feelings about someone in a relationship rely on what he or she does, even if it's a sloppy meal. Although the husband does not like the coffee, the woman translates this as, if he does not like my coffee, then obviously he does not like me.
My husband having seconds? That's a first.
Although the commercials do not provide an accurate representation of women, they do offer some insight in gender differences. Women often deal with constant insecurities and anxieties, especially in relationships. Not every partner can be consistently pleased with everything their significant other does.
Girls down at the office make better coffee on their hot plates.
In the commercials, the lead female characters are stressed about what they have to do to keep their marriage together. What would it take to get it together? Maybe some coffee?
Going to the Turners, we're going to the Turners, the Michael G. Turners tonight. Yes, Michael G. Turners
What's
tonight.
so terribly special about going to the Turners?
Oh, the rare brisket of tenderloin. Oh, the black cherry sauce, smoothly sprit.
I can make that as well as she can.
And the coffee.
Coffee? The coffee? U-Ban. I wouldn't dare serve anything else. What's so different about U-Ban? I guess it's the way it's blended with aged coffees. Aged coffee? Uh-huh. They put in just the right amount and it brings out all the flavor. Well, you say you know your coffee. Oh, thanks.
Oh, it was a great dinner, Mike. Hey, listen, keep that coffee warm because we're coming back for breakfast.
Oh, well, you don't need to now.
Huh?
We're going to make our own, dear.
Hey, that's...
One of the anxieties that the wives feel in these commercials, especially Mrs. Turner, is jealousy. More than several of the housewives feel scorned about their man because the better coffee seems to come from another woman. Competition arises when their counterparts introduce the coffee that's better from others. The housewives feel that their man is practicing infidelity due to this fact. Therefore, women feel pressured to make a good cup of coffee that's better than their counterparts in order to produce a good marriage.
This is for you, Harry. The cake of cakes. You'll never forget this birthday. No store-bought cakes for my Harry. Oh, Harry, you lucky dog. To have me in this cake, too.
Coffee ready yet, honey?
Almost. All for you, Harry.
Honey, you sure do make a good cup of coffee.
That's a man for you. No matter what you do, the only thing he's sure to talk about is the coffee. So why not get the best there is? You, man. And get yourself a compliment, too.
In this commercial, Harry's wife feels that she has to make the most complex creation in the world in order for her husband to appreciate every ounce of energy and love into it. But something more simple, like a good cup of coffee, does the trick. The commercial makes a point that you don't always have to work too hard to make a relationship successful. That and, well, the coffee is only as good as the relationship is. The coffee commercials shown here may poke fun at the housewives, but don't think that men aren't subject to being picked on either. In the commercials, the women in the marriages and relationships do as much as they can to make their husbands happy, despite whatever insecurities they may have. But the men in the commercials can be just as insecure as the women. Their significant others can be either cranky, bored, melodramatic, or just plain immature towards their wives. The women in the commercials want their men to feel just as validated as their spouses are. What's the best way to do it according to advertisers? Get a better coffee. That'll shut them up, right?
Oh, this coffee is criminal.
Honey, you killed the petunias.
Then you admit it. Your coffee really is murder.
Papa Eddie, my coffee, it's murder. It's either too bitter or too weak.
Try Folgers. Never bitter, never weak, always nice and rich. Because Folgers coffee is mountain grown.
Mountain grown?
Like the sign says. Mountain grown for richer flavor. Mountains is where the best coffee comes from.
Well, all right.
You know it's a crime not to have delicious coffee like this all the time.
We will, now that I've discovered the mountains.
The husband in this commercial ingloriously embarrasses his wife while he's portrayed as an inglorious spouse. A wife serving bad coffee to her husband is the murder of a relationship? It could be. It's a statement that's probably immature enough for her to purchase a better coffee so that the marriage won't result in homicide. Although the wife in the commercial is embarrassed, she still demonstrates some power in the relationship by purchasing the coffee for a whimpering spouse. So that way he can actually shut up.
Here's your morning ration of coffee, sweetie. That's it.
Morning's ration of coffee. How about you slip a bit more?
Mm-mm. Remember, we agreed. You thought it might be keeping you up at night and that you were getting all uptight?
But I miss all that coffee.
I know.
If caffeine bothers you, try delicious new ground roast brim decaffeinated coffee.
Although the husband is much older than the young lad in the first commercial, the male still looks like he's just as cranky as the male lead in the Folgers advertisement. The wife in this commercial acts as an advisor, telling her husband to try decaffeinated coffee to reduce his problems. The motherly role that the woman portrays is more visible as compared to the Folgers commercial, as he tries to tell her husband just to try the coffee to make him feel better. Despite both commercials featuring a difference in age between the two couples, both prove the point that men can be just as insecure as women in the relationship. The male in the Folgers commercial is highly demeaning, while the other male is highly exhausted. Yet they seem to complain and whine about the quality of coffee in melodramatic fashion. In addition to their husbands showing more affection afterwards, at the end of the commercials, the housewives still possess control in a relationship that they probably would not get if it wasn't for better coffee. Advertisements and messages about sex go hand in hand, like coffee and cream with sugar. The message may not be completely explicit, but implicit enough to decipher the connection. Take this advertisement for Giant Instant Maxwell House, for instance.
dear.
Good morning, sweetie birdie.
I'm out of coffee.
You're out of coffee. Isn't that wonderful? Out of coffee?
What a time to run out. And why run out? Now there's a new giant-size Instant Maxwell House. A really big jar of coffee. New giant-size Instant Maxwell House gives you cups and cups and cups. Dozens of extra cups of the coffee with that warm bean flavor. Warm bean flavor because it's made from coffee beans still warm from roasting. That's why new Instant Maxwell House is the freshest tasting coffee yet. So to make sure you've always got plenty of coffee for the man in your house, get the new giant-size Instant Maxwell House. You won't have to run out again.
When a housewife in distress runs out of coffee, her on-screen husband appears to be more insane than she is. Once a giant Instant Maxwell House appears, her main man engages in a loving embrace with his wife. In this case, the advertisers believe that if you have a giant bottle of Instant Maxwell House sitting in your home, your partner will more than likely stick around with you. And if you have plenty of coffee for the man in your house, there's plenty of good loving to go around.
Here it goes then. Sold down in front for $4.50.
Cora!
Hi, Cora. My father had a clock just like that.
It's only $25.
You stole it, if it runs.
Coffee? Smells good.
This is perfect.
He doesn't talk about my coffee that way.
This is Maxwell House. Been around as long as that clock. I think it tastes best.
Good to the last drop.
Maxwell House is always good. Try some yourself.
Hi, Cora.
Hi, kids. Get that clock running?
Sure did, and her coffee's been fantastic.
Maxwell House is the only kind I sell. Like they say, good to the last drop.
According to the script, Cora's longtime consumption of Maxwell House indicates that her life has run as long as that clock. Could this be an indication that Maxwell House has helped her biological clock and her sex life ticking? Did the glow in the girlfriend's face after being introduced to the coffee make a difference? I think so. Oh yeah, does sweet little Cora remind you of a certain witch?
Well, my little pretty, I can cause accidents too.
Coffee commercials were filmed with the preconceived notion that it is essential for developing solutions to minor or even major problems that consumers may. Coffee is viewed as both a supplement for perking up certain interpersonal relationships, especially those that have a great need for intimacy. These relationships may expose differences between genders, such as immaturity and insecurities on both men and women. Overall, short films and media in connection with advertising, such as those for the food and drink industry, have a huge influence on a person's perception of the product, thus increasing sales. Sure, coffee may not work for every failing relationship, but there's always a chance that it would be a start to saving it, at least to the advertiser's point of view. Now, just what will you put in your partner's cup today?
Yours too, Hutter.